Welcome to The Vault with Financial. This week we've got a special bonus episode in partnership with our friends at Octopus Legacy. In the UK, around a third of families are blended, but so many of us are walking around without the protection we really need. This episode is packed with relatable dilemmas, community money wins, and some brilliant insights from our friends at Octopus Legacy. Today's episode is not for gatekeeping, so be sure to share. Okay, let's get into it. I'm excited for this week's episode.
Well, because it's driven by so many of our community's messages. Whether the stats speak for themselves. There's so many people find themselves in families where they are blended, or there are lots of different children. There's older children, there's younger children, there's new partners. There's so many different dynamics, and I just feel like the world of money isn't really geared up for helping life, like what life's like. It's just product, and not, how do we navigate it so that we can all chill and enjoy this blended family without like the secret, like what
undertones
yes,
of
the unspoken stuff.
Yeah. We put all of the dilemmas in this episode are from Instagram, and I remember us seeing all of the dilemmas come through and they were all so different.
Yeah.
And because so much more just comes into play, like there's personalities involved, that it's not just what's on paper. Like there's so many different dynamics, like you've just said.
Nuances. There's no like nuclear family anymore. Like when we were growing up, it used to be like 2 adults, 2 children.
Yeah.
Like that was the standard family, and it's just not like that anymore.
Heterosexual, really simple cookie cutter. This is what life's like, and I'm glad it's not like that. I'm glad that it's very, very that there's so many different ways that a family can be, or that individuals can be. But I think we're the first generation that have parents to have really gone through separations and sometimes remarriages, because our parents didn't, because it really wasn't a thing. Like you didn't get divorced, you didn't get separated. Thankfully nowadays you can. People are living longer, so sometimes spouses pass away, so you might have a situation where one of your parents has sadly passed away and your parents remarry. So it's not just our generation of children from previous marriages or exes or stuff. It's actually parents as well, and in-laws and parents.
And the law's just not geared up for that, and that's the problem. I think the law hasn't kept up with the changes, and it's very archaic. So blended families find it really difficult when there's times of death, divorce, whatever, illness. It's not caught up. So this episode is designed in mind to like help you navigate that, or a friend and family member that might need this help.
Definitely. Okay, today's controversial opinion is: you shouldn't ask your family about what's in the will. It's rude. What do we think?
Well, what are we picturing? I'm picturing like the dark room and the lawyer's office.
Wood chip.
Yeah.
Is it wood chip? Varnished, like wood everywhere.
Yeah.
Panelled wood.
Yeah, panelled, like Peaky Blinders. Definitely, that's like 70s, isn't it? It's definitely not that. Like a Peaky Blinders, where he's like in the office. Like
there's a leather chair.
Yes.
A green or red leather chair.
Yeah.
And a really old man in a suit reading. Yeah. And this is obviously the reading of the will that I'm like over dramatizing, but
that is always in a film. It's like
that's when you find
it's like The Gentleman,
because you're not asked.
I've got the picture.
And there's surprises. There should really, if you're close to somebody, there shouldn't be any shocks or surprises in a will. I don't think it should all be.
Unless it's like something nice.
Yeah, but not like they've kept them out the will, or like they've given that to her and we didn't know. Like the fallouts that come out of wills between siblings specifically, where someone feels like they're aggrieved because they might have looked after their family member and felt like they deserve more of the split. Like we hear that a lot when someone's like the carer, and the family member, rightfully so, has created the will like a long time ago and then maybe not updated it to reflect what it should. Like a lot of family members sometimes give more to the son or daughter that doesn't have as much as the other, so they feel like they need to support them more financially, not split it 50-50, because that we've heard it before. We've read a dilemma out. Someone owned their own family business or something and they felt like they were fine, so they didn't need as much of the will as the other, and then they felt aggrieved that it wasn't 50-50. It's so can be controversial.
Well, so Lydia and I, before we're talking about active listening in, and I've already forgotten what the actual controversial opinion was. It's you shouldn't
to ask.
It's rude to ask. Is it rude?
I don't think. Like, how would you bring it up?
But you've never asked our pet. Well, they're quite open about
I think that's
how
probably
things
why.
would be. So is it rude to ask?
I've never heard anything from like my dad, for example. How am I going to?
Or should you?
And which is a blended family.
Yes.
So there's some more questions.
Oh, let's workshop it.
Okay.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you are very lucky that both parents are in good health. You do have a dad that's remarried and you have
Yeah, I've got two step brothers. One real. Sorry, guys.
No offense.
You've got a step and a half. Or have you got
No,
no
I've
half?
got two step brothers and just one brother.
And you've no half siblings.
No.
So
How would you broach it with your dad?
I don't know. I feel like there would have to be a certain, not something happen, but like maybe when he retires.
Yeah.
And it's like, also, what are your plans with this? Like,
So mine would be more from a place of like care. And it can come from that to be like,
yeah.
obviously it's different
But I
for
feel
us.
like
We
I don't
talk
need to
about
care.
this.
it's going up. I'm stressed.
We
thinking
talk about this all the time, like it's our job. So I've got a very skewed opinion of course you should ask, because it would be, oh, we filmed an episode today. I want to make sure that you've got all the right things in place when it comes to
Yeah,
your
but
will.
we also have a situation where there's no blended family.
Yes.
So like, let's pretend we're stepsisters.
That'd be fun.
Like, we are
Yeah.
the ugly stepsisters from Cinderella.
You're fighting us for a portion of your dad's.
But
Yeah.
so if dad remarried
Mm.
with someone who had two children, she had two children. So there's us and them. And we've seen this in our community. We've seen it actually in extended family before where if sorry, Mum, I'm killing you off and I know you watch this. So you pass away and dad remarries. And so in our head, half of the assets that because dad would inherit, we wouldn't, so dad would. The half of the assets that dad inherits were yours.
Mm.
And then if dad remarries and something happens to dad, all your assets, never mind dad's, fine, all yours as well.
Go
to
the
the
witch.
new wife.
She's a witch. We hate her. We don't like her children.
Oh, and
She doesn't make bolognese better than you. Like, she's an absolute wagon. Like,
and so inheritance is one of those really interesting things where none of us should expect anything, but the idea that it goes to the wrong person makes you very defensive and go like, my mum worked all her life, not for your kids to go to Greece. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God.
we want to go to Greece.
we're going to Greece.
We want to go to Greece.
So that you can understand how do you, is it rude to ask what's in the will? So I think in the simple scenario where there isn't a blended family, I think it can be rude. So I think you need to let it engineer in a different way, which is as parents are getting older and as people pass away young and there wasn't a will in place or you didn't know what their intentions are, this is your excuse to say, I've listened to a podcast today and what they talked about was the biggest thing that people get stressed about or share is when they've been through a scenario where someone passes away and there isn't a will. Because firstly, you don't have final wishes, intentions. You don't know if there's agony over whether someone wants a religious ceremony or not, or whether they want to be buried or cremated.
And that's the biggest stress for people. It's not even the money. They don't care about the money.
No, they're like, I don't know.
Am I doing right by the person? And I don't know, and that stresses me out the most.
So
Have I done the right funeral for them? Did I read the right poem?
Not
Did
fair
they
on
like
the
that
people
song?
left behind?
Yeah,
it really isn't. And especially if someone passes away older, you've no excuse. You should be doing that for your family. And so that's the first scenario, which is they talked about, and you may have been sent this podcast by your children. That's a big stress. And so having that box off in the will is a big thing. But secondly, what's important to assets? Because I've seen scenarios where it's super straightforward, but you feel guilty about selling the family home.
Yeah.
Or you feel guilty about getting rid of possessions. Whereas in my will, it says, sell everything.
Yeah,
Nothing
same.
is sentimental.
Yeah.
It is completely up to you. And that permission is, it is there.
Because we've had people with guilt years later. The money is still sat there because they don't know what to do with it, because they feel guilty that it shouldn't be spent on a holiday or paying off debt or whatever it might be. Whereas if you make those intentions clear in the will that you genuinely don't care what you do with the money that you are given, or the home or the holiday home or the whatever, the ring, there's so much guilt for people. Like if you can in your will, and that's maybe a good opener to someone to be like, I just want to know, if for whatever reason you pass away, which will happen to all of us, so it's a fact, it's not a what if, so there's no taboo going on here, like it's going to happen.
Not if. So what would
are you bothered about what we do with the family home, your car, your whatever? And if you're not, can you just put it in your will? Then we're all on the same page.
I agree, and I think that's the baseline, because then what you can start to introduce is, we've had this dilemma before. I remember it was a long time ago, this dilemma. Do you remember the one with the daughter that was disabled?
Yes.
And it was like, and it's about asking what the plan is. And so this is where, there may be a scenario where one sibling is more financially well, one sibling has less needs than the other. Having those practical conversations about, if something was to happen to you, like, what would you like? It might be, by the way, I don't mind if I don't get as much as.
Yeah, you might be actively
give them
encouraging
permission
to say, that Laura's shit with money. Or she has a job.
She's shit, so don't give it to her and I will manage it for her.
Yeah. Or we know that she has a job in the arts and it really doesn't pay much. I'm a lawyer. I'm going to be all right. So maybe you should think, Dad, about splitting it like 70-30. And I would be more than happy with that. I would rather her be looked after and not worrying when you're gone. Like that type of conversation.
Because then the next scenario is that conversation about blended
rumbling. That's really professional in this episode.
We're talking about people dying. But then you can also have a chat with, because it's hard, because you might also not have a blended family yet. You might have mum and dad still together, parents still together, or you could have one parent. You might not have a second parent. You might not have, your dad might not be in your life, and you've just got your mum. The idea that if they remarried, what are the consequences of that? Because wills become null and void anyway then, so you'd have to have that conversation. But yeah, I think in a blended family, how do you do it? You say, really, like, obviously we've got a different dynamic family, and I think you speak to your parent about it. You don't need to speak with the partner unless you've got that relationship. But if you're entering into a blended family, or if you do have a blended family with parents, I think having that conversation about what would you want to happen, because we do not need fallouts.
No.
We don't need that. We need good relationships. How is it going to be? And the final point is, if there is animosity and if there is stress with new relationships and blended families, sometimes it's easier to not ask and not care.
Yeah.
I think that the one defensibility is when it's like, it could be your mum or dad's stuff that then gets given to someone else, and that's like,
we covered the Suzanne Shaw story, didn't we? And that happened to her. We've got a blog.
It's on financial.com. Have a look at it. Just search Suzanne Shaw.
Yeah.
From Hearsay.
God, I know. But
be there wherever you do.
We all know it. Her dad passed away. I think. I can't remember which way around it was. Or her mum. Her dad remarried. Yes, and the new partner. Got married again, and she didn't get anything.
Wow. And her children, does she have children? Didn't think she mentions that, but that's the thing for me.
About her brother.
I think I would coming back to Trish. You've passed away. The grandkids, you're like, no. Yeah. It says, because we always think about this with inheritance as well. I joke about this with our parents. I'm like, the idea is you're all around forever, and actually, it's never a thing for us. But if it's something, it's for your grandkids.
Yeah.
And so that can sometimes be a good way to talk about it. It's not like you going, what money am I getting? It's the hope is that I'm as old as you. We're all old and we don't need anything. And it's actually something, that to be able to pass on, or to be able to donate as well. Like, what charities are important to people, and
is
that in a will, and making sure people put that. Is that, there could be someone that helped your parents and that looked out for them, or there could be a charitable cause or a local sports club.
A community garden project, and they go and they do it every week, so they'd like to leave something behind for them. And if that's not in the will, it might never happen unless we probably should donate some of the money. Like, put it as your intentions.
It's a super different. We find it easier because we're very open about it as a family, and we obviously are in this line of work, and so we've always been quite big on it. But saying
it could come across
saying I've listened to this pod and they've said we should talk about it. So I'm not angling at what I'm going to get. I'm not angling at what I think someone else should get. But do you have a will, and do you want to share what's in it?
Or you could position it like, so I've done my will and this is what's in mine.
Yeah,
and it could then encourage.
Well, you should be doing your will.
So what's in yours? And you shouldn't be like, it shouldn't be this conversation should not be with the oldest person in your family. It should be with every single person in your family.
Yeah. So you're closest.
Nan, you're 90, so let's talk about this. No, it should
you're first
be
on the list.
Yeah.
No, and listen, we are we all know someone that has gone too soon.
Yeah.
We've all been there. And so having, no matter what your age right now, this is something that you should be thinking about. And so having a conversation, and again, we talked about making sure that you review things regularly, making sure that you review things after children, after weddings and divorces, like making sure, well, weddings especially, because like making sure that if you have a will and then you get married, it's null and void. So you have to do another one.
Yeah, and we've talked about Laura's friend in the past that passed away and didn't get divorced, and everything in the will went to her partner that she was married to 8 years previous that had moved on and had children with somebody else. Her family got nothing. So it's really important that you do this.
In fact, if you listen to this episode, like go back to that one. Is it
Legacy
if you
Week?
search Legacy Week, you'll find it when you're in the pods. Because I share the story. It's fucking awful. And part of my friend's legacy is us being on this couch going, get a will.
Yeah.
Tell people to get a will. Get divorced if you're married to someone and you don't want to stay with them. Like do the paperwork, do the grind, because the idea that in that window something happens to you and someone you specifically don't want to inherit things is awful. So the first step is will, because you can divorce takes time. You can specifically disinherit people with a will. Is it rude to ask? Do you think you'll go and ask your mum and dad after this chat? You probably won't. Like is it rude? Coming back to the question, active listening, remembered.
I didn't think so. I think I'd speak to my mum because she's by herself. I know that's more of a like, have you got everything in place? Like make sure all of that stuff. I don't know.
Arguably, it'd be more important to speak to your dad because that's the blended family side of things. It wouldn't be as straightforward as your mum, where it would go to her children. So it's pretty straightforward from your mum's perspective.
Yeah.
The law, it would follow the law and it would go to you and your brother.
I think I've got homework for you.
But I think we'd give you a bit of a script that would be, I did an episode this week and therefore this is what my will looks like. What does yours look like?
Yeah.
Not, Dad, what does your will look like? Because we're a blended family and I don't want, what's the situation? No. Dad, I did my will this week.
But be less British. Let's not be British. And come back and tell us what that felt like. Like have the conversation. Like it's just such an okay conversation to have.
Yeah.
But it's shrouded in so much like
it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's because it's been, you hear the horror stories, you don't hear
it's like, is it you being a leech? Is it you after money? Like it's a loaded question. It can be a loaded question. So can we remove the controversial element to it, which is 1, we all know we're going to die. 2, we will have some assets when we die, whether that's like your favorite ring. Some of us have got a ring. We talked about it last week. Is it a piece of jewelry? Is it something sentimental? Is it a painting that your grandma gave you? Or is it £1 million? Because I'm hoping we're going to be building some big empires with people listening to this pod. You will all have lots of money. So who is it going to? Who would you want it to go to?
Who would you not want it to go to?
Oh
Can
God,
I ask
we open
Holly
strong.
and Laura, have you asked each other what's in each other's wills?
We've copied each other's.
Yes,
wills.
because
you don't find it rude then?
Do you know why? Because it was the guardianship point of view. So if Neil and I pass away together, if we're involved in an accident, what happens to our kids? And I never thought about it.
Yeah.
So we had to discuss with each other because Laura and Carl are the guardians of my children and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it was actually a big conversation to have. Like we had to be like, are you okay with if something happened to Neil and I at the same time that you would look after our children? So yeah, we do actually.
But also,
for that reason.
I think, am I executor of yours? Because you're not executor of mine. I think Sam and Gemma are executor.
I think
my
you
lawyer
are
friends.
and somebody else.
Who is?
I think Tash is.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I had to pick a friend that would be like, what's the word? Like composed.
Yeah.
I've got another best friend that I wouldn't want to put on her because I know that she'd be emotional because I would be for hers because we're truly best friends. So, and Tash is like one of my best friends, but I've just
She
feel like
could handle it.
She's so practical.
Yeah, that's why I picked the lawyers. Like,
Yeah.
they could handle it. But so that's a very good point as well. If someone is an executor, and often, sometimes, children are executors. Are we executors of
I think
mum
we
and
are.
dads now? Because we weren't. It was
I think
friends.
we are now.
But it makes sense, like, quite frankly, like picking people that's similar age,
Yes.
they might have passed away. So like who will be, and having children. So an executor, you make it very easy for an executor to interpret a will if they've seen it before. So having that conversation about what's in it and what do you expect to happen means that there's no pressure on the executor, who is usually just a normal person. Like some people choose solicitors and stuff, but some people just choose trusted friends that can interpret a will well.
Like family friend could be good where they're not it's not contentious. Do you know?
Do you remember when Nana passed away in her will? I'm sure it was her friend who was like leader of the council.
I know it's going to be. Yeah.
He's doing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right.
We have to have someone like
Like
on a
she had-
throne of power.
She had millions of pounds to distribute. Like it was very important that it was just very simple, the division of assets in
I quite like that she did that. She thought a lot of
Yes.
herself.
Like-
She thought a lot of herself. She
I
was
like
like,
that.
so the leader of the
local council.
local council is going to be my executor. It's
It
like,
was
Yeah.
her best friend's
right.
brother, so it wasn't like she wrote to the council like, I know you've got a lot on. but
I
could
rate
you
myself.
also-
And my will.
I've appointed you executive.
I want you to
of my
read it
will.
in the council chambers.
Can it be published in the
That would have been
papers?
so much more fun.
Yeah, it would have been actually. It would have been. Yeah.
Iconic. Okay, time for our first dilemma. I don't want my husband's new partner to get anything. Ladies, I know this sounds like a crazy dilemma, but please hear me out. I don't want my husband's future partner to get anything, except I'm happily married with no reason to end my marriage.
So is there a new partner? There's not.
No.
Oh, this is okay. Right, I know where she's going. I suddenly was like, married.
She's
happily
projecting into the
happily married,
future.
and there's a
Yeah.
new partner, but this is potentially in
We've
the
got a
future.
fellow overthinker.
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome to the party.
Let's crash out together.
Yeah.
My husband and I recently had the wedding of our dreams in the Caribbean, surrounded by my family, friends, and my gorgeous daughter. It was the best day of my life. When we landed back in the UK, I started to work through all the laborious paperwork that comes with getting married, and it suddenly hit me. What if something happened to me and my child got nothing? My little girl isn't my husband's biological child, even though she calls him dad and he treats her like his own. I've heard nightmare stories from children from previous relationships being left with nothing when their step-parent goes on to remarry should their biological parent pass away. I've let my imagination run away with me, inventing stories of who this new woman is. The evil stepmother cutting my daughter out of her inheritance and leaving her with nothing. So I want to know, am I being irrational and am I being unfair for not wanting my partner to move on with my wealth should I pass away? How can I protect my child should the unthinkable happen?
Your child's Cinderella.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God, she is.
The even though she's like running away with the story, so many people don't consider this when they marry someone and their child is not biologically their new partner's. What do you think? What do you think of this? What do you think of this dilemma?
So we actually asked Octopus Legacy about this because obviously, like, we're not lawyers, and I am a lawyer actually, but
Are you still a lawyer?
Forgot about that.
oh, actually, well, you're always a lawyer, but I'm a non-practicing
Okay.
one, and wouldn't give advice anyway, even if I was a practicing one on here about legal stuff. But it is a bit of a complicated area, and obviously this month you can get a free will through Octopus Legacy if you listen to this in October, if you listen to this in November, soz. You're going to have to get one, but they're really cost effective. So you have to get one. That's the rule of this podcast. But look in the show notes because you can get a free one. And we asked them what they would say in this scenario. And so they've said, helpfully, you can protect your daughter's inheritance by writing a will with a trust. So a trust is a way to set aside money or assets in your will to be looked after by a trustee. So usually someone that you literally trust, hence trustee, for the benefit of someone else. So for example, a life interest trust, also known as a property protection trust, can make sure that your whole estate or just the family home, which is usually the biggest asset if you think about it when people pass away, is kept safe for your daughter, while still allowing your husband to benefit from those assets or giving him the right to at least live in the property. The trust can also be written so that if he remarries to the wicked stepmother, your share of the home automatically passes to your daughter. And I have seen these work before. Often these are put in wills when people take advice. Another option is a flexible life interest trust, which allows your husband to be supported during his lifetime, but guarantees that your assets ultimately pass to your daughter on his death. So that's one way of doing it. So constructing it where there's a trust so your daughter benefits from the asset, but your husband can use them and not be kind of like kicked out of his home and stuff like that. This is why it's really important to review your wills like every few years, because hopefully if you're following financial, your assets will grow.
Yeah.
And the amount of assets. So you might start off married life with not much, but during married life, if you build wealth together, obviously dynamics change. And there may be a scenario where you don't leave the home to your daughter, but you've built up other assets.
Yeah.
And so you can leave assets outright to your daughter. If she's over 18, she can inherit them directly. And so I think that's something that you could do and make and like a good healthy chat with your husband about that. Even debating when you remarry, what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
So
It's
she
like
needs to be
when
looked
you-
after.
it's like
It's
when you
not you
have
I
a
don't
dream.
trust.
It's like when people have the husband's cheat in the dream
Yeah.
and they wake up and they're like,
You wake up and you're like,
you, I knew it. And they're like, what? Over cereal, over the Rice Krispies. They're like, what do you mean? And you're like, you had an affair in my dream. And then you're in a mood with them all day. Like, we've all done it.
Yeah.
We've
Do you
all
know
done
what? Carl was saying, Alec, because he was crying. I was like, right, you go in that bed, I'll go in that bed, and we'll all move around. And I was up for the gym earlier, so I was like, fine, you can go. And I came in from actually, it was the run. I came in from the run, and Carl went, did you hear him in the night? I was like, no. And he was going, give me back my bike. So he's probably fallen out with like his friend at school today because he was dreaming about
You stole my bike in the night.
But yeah, I think having that chat it's not you I don't trust. It's your future young wife that will, she'll steal it from our daughter because he sees the daughter as his as well. So follow that, have a little look. You definitely, if you're blended and if you're brand new married, any will that you've had before is null and void, so you need to redo it. But other people also use life insurance in this scenario because it is quite complicated when you're thinking about division of assets, especially if assets that you own together. You can't have half a house. And what's your daughter going to do with half a house? And she also can't get access to that until your husband then passes away later. And so in the scenario, especially if you've envisaged this, where if you pass away young and you want to make sure your daughter's looked after, a life insurance policy is a great way of take out a life insurance policy and she's the beneficiary. Your husband, you might have two, like the younger you are, the cheaper life insurance is. So you might end up with two life insurance policies where your daughter can inherit one immediately. Not inherit, because she wouldn't inherit, but she will get the payout. And your husband might have the one that pays out like the family home. And you've got a scenario where enough people are protected. And this is something that comes up a lot. If you go to financial.com/protection, we have a provider, life insurance that we've partnered with. You can ring the number, the females answer the phone on the other end and can walk through this with you. And what I did is just download, just go, right, can I tell you my life story? Say what you're concerned about, and they can genuinely help you with what things you can put in place, even if it's nominal amounts, that can give you that peace of mind that whatever happens to you, she is getting that, she's inheriting it, she's getting a payout for it, so that you're not worried. Because wills, you have to do the will thing, that's a no-brainer, but you have to keep on top of those. It's a good, I would do the two. I would do both.
Yeah. And wills are free in the month of October. So, like Laura said, if you are
no
listening,
excuse.
it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. The trust might not be free, but getting a will is free. And if you speak to them, like, get them on the phone.
And if you listen to this after October,
just ring them anyway.
Like, it's a cost-effective way of doing it. So do the will, ring life insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a really, really good community win. I messaged you at the end of last year saying I've got my sinking funds ready. Well, guess what? I used those to pay my car insurance in full, home insurance in full, and I paid for my MOT and already have the amount needed for the annual boiler repair. In a year and a bit, my husband and I have also cleared £29,000 of debt. We have 12k left, but honestly, I'm so proud of us. Our emergency fund is topped up and I'm also going on maternity leave and we've saved for that too. I'm feeling good and it feels so nice to not buy things on credit card and Klarna. It's all because of the tips you tell us on Instagram, the app and the podcast. Financial has helped us get ourselves together and I'm very grateful for it.
Yay.
Straight A student.
A hell of a
You
lot of
are
debt to
absolutely
clear.
correct. I got to confess for a minute, I thought you were going to say we've got 12 kids. Wow. 12k. So, oh my God.
And you're going on mat leave, like in a much better place than you were before. Yes, there's still like consumer debt to clear, but the fact that you managed to clear how much in a year? Like
when we do
you'll be
like
fine.
29k.
Yeah.
29, when we do
29K.
the things like paying for things in full, I wish that you could ring them. You probably can, but like go, I'd like to pay for that in full. Do you know, like,
Yeah.
How are you
what
paying for
do
this
is you
in
click
full?
monthly or
Do you know
annually.
what? I had a moment like that. Bringing back the dentist story.
Listen,
And there
the
was a-
dentist, I tell so many
I do.
people about the dentist story. I don't know
And-
if, hang on, you're going to have to tell people about the dentist story just in case they don't know it. Like,
So basically,
high level.
the last not the last. I had a good solid 8 months of dentist debacle, and in my final bit of this treatment plan, which was very expensive, there was 4 appointments like in a line, and they were all like £600 each. And every time when I like would Apple Pay it, which was crazy.
Apple Pay £600.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Bougie.
it's just Apple Pay. It's just
It's
obviously
your
your card,
card,
isn't it?
Yeah, but
it feels like.
But she was like, "Is that debit card or credit card?" And I was like, "Debit."
Head toss.
Did you have to
Every time I was like, "Debit."
Yeah, I'll pay.
Did you not
Trying to
shout
think of
it?
one.
In fact, do you want me to pay for all 4 now?
Yeah.
I did
In
say
the
that.
first one?
I was
I
like,
thought that's
"Just
what you were
take
going to
it."
say. Yeah, take my money.
It's drama every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that in the waiting room.
Flex. Debit.
Oh,
Card.
just debit.
600 debit. It's in there.
When I did my Invisalign, I wonder if I was like, do you want it all now?
Yeah.
Because like, what a dick.
Installment.
I've saved for it all already.
Can everyone hear? But what a flex. Like, when a lot of people don't know this, but when you're paying for car insurance or home insurance monthly, you actually take out credit to do it. You won't realize it, but that's why they run a credit check, because obviously they want to know that you're going to pay it. But it's this big thing that I was chatting to one of the guys from Consumer Champion, Consumer Champion website. That's what they call it, aren't they? But,
Yeah.
like, about this, because they think it's wrong, and I'm like, I think it's wrong, and you don't realize it. That's why you pay more, because you effectively take out credit and then pay for it monthly, and that's why it's more expensive. And what they're trying to say is, it's a penalty for people that can't afford it up front. You know, not everyone is able to build sinking funds like we are. Things are tough for lots of people. Why don't you just let them pay monthly and it be continuous?
same.
And then if you want to stop, like, why is it an annual policy? Why isn't it not just you pay for it monthly? There's no credit agreement. It's just like a subscription cost. Like the subscription cost, when you do like Netflix and you pay monthly, you may pay more for the privilege to do it monthly. I don't know. I don't think you do. I think you just pay monthly. I don't think there's an annual Netflix. I think you just pay monthly.
I think so.
That's just what it costs. But you're not taking on credit to do that.
Splitting
And
it
then,
up.
so you should just, and actually people will be better insured then, because it's a rolling insurance policy. And then as and when you want to cancel it, you cancel
I always
it.
think this, like, what are you doing when you get a new car? Like, that's just an extra bit of admin, isn't it? Like,
just leave
sorting
it
your old one
monthly.
and then,
And I
like-
think loyalty would be bigger, because people will just be like, keep it. It's because, oh, your car insurance is due. Now, I do appreciate that it does go up and down. So maybe they need to revisit prices. I don't know. But why is it credit? Why is it just, this is the monthly fee?
I didn't know that.
And if you don't, and like, but maybe you have to sign up for a year. And if you don't pay, you're not insured.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you'll pay.
Straightforward.
I don't know. So that's why it's a big flex. Well done. That's cool. You are listening to everywhere and everything. And we have 2 minutes. The interesting thing is, we don't want you to stop sending in wins, but we are struggling to show
them all.
Yeah, we are.
I think it'd be a good thing for me to do on TikTok
Ooh,
or
yeah.
Insta. Like win of the day. We've got that
Oh
many.
my God,
Oh, yeah,
there's
we
so
could.
many.
What do you think, Lydia? Like,
Yeah, that'd be nice.
we've got that many. There's some either get held back or some aren't necessarily shared,
they're
because
shared.
we've only so many. We like getting them because we've talked about it last
If
week.
you
didn't
head
we?
in the community as well, there's loads.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
these
so
are ones
many.
that like they get emailed in or Instagrammed
There's
in, but
loads.
actually there's loads that we just go, oh, that's great, well done.
Might do win of
well
the
done,
day.
well done.
Definitely
I like that.
don't hesitate to send them in.
Yes.
Oh my
We
God.
see them
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
squeal. Okay, well done.
So send us your wins in the community or in the app. Oh, the community is in the app.
Yeah.
Or email it in to thevault@financial.com for a reaction in our Slack channel
Yeah.
at minimum. Okay, second dilemma of the day. How do we keep things fair in our blended family? Hey Financial, love the pod, the app and the community. It's been amazing on my money journey. We're a blended family with 4 children between us plus 1 together. Is that
That's
one
fine.
of the 4?
I don't know. But they've definitely got one child together.
Yeah.
And then they've got other children from previous relationships.
Yes.
That's what I read it as.
It's complicated anyway.
It's blended.
We both earn similar salaries. One of us pays child maintenance and the other receives it. We split bills 50-50 and try to keep things fair with holidays, birthdays, and money goals. We have 2 big questions. 1, how should we reflect our different starting assets in our wills? One of us put in the house deposit for our home, but we now pay the mortgage equally. And number 2, what's the fairest way to invest for all of our children when we don't know what our exes will be leaving them? It's such a complex and emotional landscape. And I think a lot of blended families struggle with the same questions.
They're asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
imagine if you
Love that
didn't
they're asking
handle
it.
stuff like that. And so there's definitely two parts to this. And again, when we talk about updating your wills, this is where the starting point might be, okay, I'm bringing this into the relationship, you're bringing this into the relationship. And especially when you do have children from prior relationships, I do think it's early on, it's right to kind of separate stuff. We talk about combining finances and combining money, and accepting that, we're talking about potential death here, but in divorce, it's really interesting in the UK about how it's tackled. We've talked about prenups before, and the big discussion with when she got engaged in the summer, Taylor Swift, and are the prenups involved? I'm sure you and Alex have had extensive conversations about that's my wealth and that's your wealth. But really, in the UK, the default position is thinking of everything as combined. Now, when there are negotiations in divorce, you do look at how long someone's been together and what people brought into a relationship, whether someone had inherited a lot of wealth and brought that, and it will be taken into consideration. But as time goes on, it becomes much more of a mixing pot. And quite frankly, when you have been together 5, 10, 15 years down the line, you then kind of tend to view what's mine as yours, because that bit of inheritance that I brought into the relationship was then used to fund our family home that we then both lived in. And so I'm not going to profess to comment on what would be legal in what the court would look at in when it comes to a divorce. But it is a bit of a similar thing where early on, I think it's okay to say our will needs to reflect what we've brought in.
Yeah, because if you paid for the full house deposit and that person brought nothing to the table, you could get divorced in 2 years, or you could pass away. You want to make sure that big contribution that you brought in is reflected for your children or for your family members.
You could have more children, or you could have all the children and someone has nothing. And so it's a very hard dynamic. So I think having that pragmatic chat with your partner about, okay, we're doing our will, what did we come in with, and write it down, see what it looks like. Because this is what I've always said about when women don't pay into pensions, it's okay, my husband's got a great pension. More money is more money for all of you.
I was about to say,
it's not a bad thing to make sure you have lots of assets. It's a good conversation. It's a good problem to have when there's more money to divide up. It's when it's very skewed one way that you have to really think about it. So I would, on the inheritance point, I would be thinking about writing it down, see what it looked like. What did you both come in with? And if it is 6 of one and half a dozen of the other,
don't split hairs.
Don't worry about it.
It's that starting off the relationship well, you had this and I had that, and I honestly can't stand those, especially if you're in the relationship 50-50 emotionally.
Yeah.
Please don't split hairs. If, like Laura said, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, just don't do it. It will cause aggravation and problems.
I think if there's sentimental assets that you want to leave to children, write that down in the will. There's space for that, because again, you could have a scenario where one of you passes away a lot earlier than the other. What you never want is a situation, and this is why some people in their wills don't leave everything to their partner. They do leave things to children upon your immediate
negate
death.
That type of stuff.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you don't know what the relationship's going to be like, especially with the blended children and the stepchildren post.
Because they've got their own parents maybe on the other side. You're not the only.
But you don't want to be waiting for your then stepdad to pass away to inherit something. So having those practical and pragmatic conversations about, okay, we both live until we're 90. What does that look like? But one of us passes away very young, or both of us does. What does that look like? And I think you'll find where you want to be. I think you'll find where you want to land. Like we talked about in the last dilemma, life insurance helps in this scenario, because you can take away quite a lot of the survival pain of how will they manage, how will my children work out. If you take out life insurance with them as beneficiaries, it doesn't then really matter what's left in the will, because life insurance isn't the will. Sometimes you mention it in the will just so people know that you've got it, but it's separate. It's a separate payment.
Yeah. We keep talking about wills as well with Octopus Legacy, and it's so easy to do online. If you've got I don't want to say normal, a standard family situation whereby it's not blended, but you can actually with Octopus Legacy go and call someone, So you still get the will for free.
Chat through the practical.
Yeah, you can chat through, and you can also make appointments to go and see people. So I think in that circumstance where it's like, we've got children from here and I paid for this, and we talked about modelling it out, maybe doing that with someone, with the help of someone. You don't have to do this alone.
Literally, why wouldn't you?
I know. So you've got the options. You can do it online and it's really straightforward. You can do it over the phone, or you can make an appointment to go and see someone.
No, that's super helpful. And then the other point, I know it's a little bit of both because it's a bit inheritance here, but she's talking about like, what she would like, how should we invest for them, doesn't she? Is that what she said at the end of the dilemma?
They're worried about like what their ex-partners will be leaving, so they want to make it even.
So my view is ignore it.
Yeah. Same. I was going to say that. I'm glad you said it. I was like, so in my brain, I'm going, I don't care what Sheila's doing. And Kev.
Sheila.
They can do what they want to do. All right.
But because you can't, we always say this, you can never bank on insurance. You can never bank on, like, you know, we don't want to be wishing someone passes away soon. Like this is all about bonus money in our lives. I think you've got a big responsibility to think about when children are young and when they're early teens and when they're early adults. And, you know, there's lots of times that you can turn to your parents for financial and or emotional support. And so the idea that, you know, you're not there, you should think about that. And you know, even if someone is, you know, don't worry, they'll get loads from the dad. No, they might not.
That.
You just don't know.
We've talked about that before, where someone was banking on something from someone and it never came through, and they lived their life, and the life of made their partner live a different life, going, money's coming, don't worry.
Don't worry.
And they lived a very different life to what they should have done.
Yeah.
So and also don't feel overwhelmed with the investment point for children. Like, people overthink this so much. If you've got 5 children from blended, and it's all mismatch.
Oh, it's going to be
just
tough.
Start small.
Yeah,
like,
just do it a little bit.
You can get a JISA if you want to. There's loads of investment accounts for children. You can just start small, and starting small for them will end up a big number
it's
when
going to
they're
be
older.
something. But it is an interesting dynamic, right? Because I believe, obviously, did it in the right order, which is we saved up and bought a home and renovated it. And then we made sure that our pensions were in a good place. Mm-hmm. We have emergency savings. And then we didn't do our ISAs, we jumped to JISAs, but we did it in that order. So we didn't jump straight to, I must save for the kids. Honestly, you're the bottom of the list, because as kids, you need strong parents or strong parent financially. So when people take like the child benefit and put it away for the kids, I'm always like, no, that's not the right thing to do. Look after yourself first. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, if you like are doing no saving for you and no investing for you and then just spending it on whatever you want, I think that's not great either. But there's kind of foundations to this. And so when we were ready, we then looked to JISAs, and there's 2 things you can do, and I have no judgment on either way. You can put an amount for all kids equal from then and go, from this date, we started to put 50 quid a month for each of you aside. What's going to happen though is the eldest is going to get less, unless you forever, like when they're even 30, continue to put money into it. Like the JISA turns into an ISA when they're it's 18, I think. So like you can't have a junior ISA when you're like 40. But you can understand that if you put 50 in each, that the eldest is going to get less and the youngest is going to get more. And you can have no apologies for that, because it's like, I'm sorry, when you were a kid, we didn't have enough money. It is what it is. You're an adult now, crack on. Or you can do what we did, which is absolutely like overthinking it, but wanting your children to have equal. So what we did is we modeled it, like Holly said, and we worked out that our eldest has less time for us to hit this. We've got a goal, 21 grand before they're 21. And we worked out what you need to put in. And obviously the youngest was like, from the day he was born, got it put in, whereas the eldest didn't, because we weren't in a position to do it then. And so she has way more going in per month than he does. And so when we transfer it, we always go, oh, he's only getting a little bit.
But he's got time in the market. Yeah.
Well, we don't even include compounding for it.
You just talked about your
He will end up with more because he's got time to compound.
Ali's going to be like, don't worry about me, guys.
He's like, do you want me to pay for dinner?
Yeah, drink some meat tonight, guys.
That TikTok where it's like, I'll take care of it. And like Ali's pushing the debit card, not credit card for dinner.
But we did think, we'll put more in Ava's because she's older and she's got less time before she's 21 and she's got less time for it in the market. But if you didn't want to do that and you just wanted to do equal amounts until a certain time, that's all right as well.
Don't overthink it.
But don't think what anyone else is giving them.
No, and don't be like bankrupting yourself to try and fill her JISAs up. Because if they're kids, they've got time. Like Laura said, it's all about what do we call it? Like putting your oxygen mask on first, making sure that you are healthy, happy, you can pay the bills, you're not stressed, because I tell you what, your kids will be much happier than you giving them 50 grand when they're 21.
This is a bit left field as well, but just be aware, like we've chosen to do a junior ISA. When it's theirs, when they hit 18, it's theirs. So if you haven't taught them how to manage money, like I tell Ava, because the other two are just too young, but I'm like, so when you're 21, you're going to have this, and we are going to decide what you are going to do with that. And so it's probably not for traveling, or a little bit might be for traveling, but it might be for a car, but we'll probably end up buying her a car before then.
Deposit.
But it's probably going towards a house
education,
deposit.
And you've not got a student loan. Like,
well, she'll already have gone through education. No, 18.
Yeah,
No,
that's
she'll
true.
get at 18. She'll be going to university. Someone asked me actually on, we were chatting, I think it was a DM, and we were talking about whether it was for her university. I was like, it's not actually, but it's an interesting point. It's not yours. So you have to, if you think it's for a house deposit gift, or if you think it's for a university or something like that, it needs to be in your name.
Yeah. You don't want to gift them that money.
Imagine if they were like, screw you, Dad.
Oh
I'm
my
going
God.
like, I'm going buying all my friends. Like, oh my God.
And that's the worry. You have to educate them.
You have to understand that, if they have a drug problem, if they have a gambling problem at 18, they're getting 21 grand in my case. So
some people talk about pensions as well, like putting money in a child's in a pension.
Yeah, do you know what the uber wealthy think about that? You can actually, if you invest like something tiny, I think you can invest like something like, I'm making it up, but 50 quid a month into a pension for your baby until they're 21. They'll be a millionaire at retirement. I think it's a lovely thing, but it's also like so far down in the future.
Yeah.
It is extra.
If you're worried about them blowing it on something.
Literally, and they could. So being aware of that if you're putting money into account for children, it's a junior ISA, it's theirs, it's not yours. If you save for them in yours, it's yours. Oh God, I'm like lecturing today. I'm really sorry. It's soapboxy. But then be aware that it could go in a divorce. It could go if you were sued and you needed to owe someone money, lots of different things.
And you might need it for an emergency. It might never go to them. So just don't tell them as well. You're like, oh, I've got a pot set aside for you. Shit might hit the fan. And you might have to use it for the family, not like, God,
there's so much to think about. This is hard. This is why we've got a job. Welcome to Financial, and that's why we're here.
And we could do 12 episodes on this because the dilemmas, like you said, have just been so varied, which is why we would tell you to get advice.
Yeah.
We cannot answer every single dilemma, and there's so many nuances and different things.
We always will, though. By the way, we will always get advice. I always tap my friend up, Gary, as a lawyer on the BBC, and be like, Gary, we've got another wills and trust question. And he's always happy to answer, and then we'll provide the answers. So ask the weird and wonderful things. We will never give advice that we feel we can't give. We'll always just give guidance, our opinion.
We need Gary on the pod.
He would be so
I think
good.
We're going to do that. We should do more episodes
ask
like
the
this.
questions if you've got something nuanced. But the other thing I would say is, if you've listened to this and you've experienced this going wrong or going right, can you share it?
Yeah.
Like, feel free to voice note it if you can't bother typing it out. In fact, that would be even more cool, and we'd share it on here. But we need to keep these conversations going because it's stories that inspire people to actually do the thing. Yeah. So we can, that's why I've shared my story and what I've been through. And there's been so many different scenarios recently that like it makes you think you have to get this stuff sorted. And you've no excuse when it's free. You've no excuse. If it's a bit more complicated, taking the time to ring up and explain the situation.
But we've talked about it before, it's cost effective. It's not like you go into a wealth advisor that like you've not got all these assets, you're worried you don't want to pay to get the advice, but actually it could save a hell of a lot of.
You start there and then you layer it on like as people are so bothered about paying for something that it's like could be very costly,
detrimental, emotionally. Like emotions is the first one. Relationships can break down because this shit isn't taken care of.
No, 100%.
So wills are free in the month of October with Octopus Legacy. Go to the show notes, click the link, just get it done. Like, please get it done. I urge you. We don't want you to be one of our stories where it went wrong.
Yeah, no,
like definitely. I don't want you to be that. And our community are very passionate about learning from their mistakes. So we will inevitably, after this episode, go into the community. There'll be someone going, I didn't do this, or my husband or wife.
Or I did, and thank God I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we want those to be the stories that come through, not that I learn from my mistakes. I'm exhausted, I'm not going to lie. Like, there's so much covered. So much covered. And I just think as a standard family unit, we have got this sorted. it's more important when you're a blended family because the law's just not kind of caught up with the blended
No,
family
and stuff
situation.
changes. But going back to the controversial opinion at the beginning, it's like it's not. It might be rude to ask with a agenda,
How
which
much?
is like
Yeah.
you know, but it's not to ask more widely.
Just a quick disclaimer, the Vault is just a chat around life and money topics. We are not giving financial or legal advice.